coming to you live but recorded from Tom and Mike's Living Spaces. It's the premiere episode of Nerding Out.
Hey Tom, how you doing?
Hey, Mike. That's our new announcer, AI Millie.
Absolutely, yeah. That is that is
How
that.
much? How much are we paying her? Oh yeah, nothing. Okay, so she's pretty good for free.
Absolutely, yeah. No, very impressive. So AI is slowly and surely creeping in, and like Tom was saying, I am Mike, and Tom and I are here, and then
Yep.
we are the first, the last, the Nerdom. And Tom, tell us about what is this all about?
Yeah, the Genesis. Um, we introduced Grab Bag about a year or so ago, and we enjoyed it. It never fit perfectly with us. It tried to be a kind of a news show, but it really didn't. It wasn't comprehensive enough. I think we just covered the stuff that we liked. So it wasn't you wouldn't really go to it for a news resource. We also tried to do a lot of different things, but it never felt a good fit for us. And we thought maybe just kind of like a free flowing live stream where we just shoot the crap and just talk about various things that are on our mind and then have some fun with AI. That's the big new hotness. We had our intro, and then we ran a couple of things through Chat GPT. We have a top 10 list that famously David Letterman, introduced that on his show. I thought, well, if we're going to do kind of a live show, that might be fun to do. We ran through a topic for it, and we'll kind of go through it, see if we're ready to kick out those writers that are on strike and let Chat GPT take over as a comedy workhorse or not. We'll find out here in a second. We kind of perused it, and I have some questions. We also have a Star Trek parody skit that we had Chat GPT do that we're going to do at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss that. We haven't read it. It's a two-person parody skit, so Mike's going to take one role. I'm going to take the other. We'll just run through it, and hopefully it's funny. If it's not, if it's cringe, hey, that's cool too. But yeah, so we'll see what we're going to take Chat GPT through its paces.
Absolutely,
And
but
we'll yeah,
yeah,
mhm.
but first, I just want to kind of say, if you've seen any of this, this is the inaugural premiere, the first premiere of our show. But before we get into that too far along the way, I just wanted to say thank you so much if you've been a recent subscriber to our the fruits of our labor here on the main channel webpage. You can find us on YouTube. We try to put out content we have a main show we put out every week. And this new show, we'll see where it goes, and ideally that'll probably be at the opposite end of the week, probably,
Yep.
or something along
Mhm.
those lines.
Mhm.
But what we're both trying to, we'll figure out a live spot here.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, we will still continue on. But thank you so much if you recently subscribed again. Now we're up to 138, 139 videos or so. And this is speaking of, like, maybe the skit might be good, maybe it might be bad, maybe it might be whatever. We did just cover our premiere or this week's episode of Getting Medieval with LadyHawke. Go check that out. Give us a like if you feel so inclined. But we love that if we did. But in the meantime, like Thomas said, we're coming in here to do the AI thing, and I was
Yep.
very we'll see how it goes. And of course,
Yep.
for this is a stream of consciousness type sort of any kind of things that me or Thomas want to talk about, nerd out on
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And like
Yep.
he was saying, grab bag was great, but then it kind of just became like a kind of like a hole punching, box checking thing for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, it was like a checklist that we kind of went through, and we
Yeah,
wanted more free flowing and kind of
yeah,
talking,
more
and
loose.
you know, more of
Let
a
it go.
conversation.
Yep,
And then, of course,
absolutely.
this first episode is going to be with me and Mike, but we hope eventually that this will grow and we can invite guests and make it
Absolutely.
even a bigger party, a
Yep.
big nerd party, so to speak.
Yep. And
But yeah,
that's a good point. And if you have a good idea and you would like to come on the show or do a show with us, we would love to do that, and we can make our both either formats of the show are open to interviews. Maybe a special guest on the main one to cover something maybe super particular, or maybe just kind of like a, hey, how you doing? What are your thoughts on this, or what's been bugging you on the nerd front, whatever it may be, under the umbrella of nerddom.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, the top 10 list, we teased it long enough, but let's kind of dive right into it. And then we'll get the go on to our little discussion. Now, when I threw the question to Chat GPT, I thought it would just do little bullet points of in the question that we gave it. And it may be my fault for not giving it a funnier prompt, but the top 10 funniest things nerds love to do. So yeah, that's that was our question for it, and I've got and what it did was it gave what nerds like to do that are funny. Then it explains itself. It kind of backs it up with a description. So I'm going to I'm not going to read the whole thing, but yeah, okay. So I'm going to start from the bottom, like as usual. The Chat GPT didn't number it off, but I'm going to take that the last one is number 10. So the number 10 thing, we don't have a drum roll, so
No,
don't expect that.
maybe in the future we'll have a better
Yeah,
soundboard here as we get more
right.
better with OBS here.
Right, and if we do get a soundboard, we won't abuse it. I know I watch some streamers that have a soundboard and they just play it. I stopped watching them because they do it too much. So yeah, we'll find a good balance if we introduce a soundboard to this. But yeah, the top 10 thing nerds love to do that's pretty funny: comic cons and conventions. Okay,
Yeah.
because the nerds love the funny panels, the gag merchandise, and humorous interactions with creators and actors, as Chat GPT says.
Yep.
Um,
Which I think in a couple weeks or a week or so, we're away from Comic Con. Just kind of put that out there. I don't
yeah,
know that they're going to have
absolutely.
anything all that spectacular to announce, but I do know a couple of our YouTubers are going to be out there doing their thing, covering commentary. One of a mutual one is Chris Gore. So
Uh-huh.
it definitely hit the mark there with the Comic Cons, for sure, and the conventions for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, maybe not the funniest thing in the world, but okay. Let's go on to number 9. Binge watching those comedies. Those nerds love watching those comedies, right?
Yep.
Boy, I tell you.
Yep. Right up there with binge watching. Yep.
Yep, and maybe they're watching that classic CBS one. What's the nerd one on that one? I always forget
Uh,
the name of it.
oh God, you know what? With
With the two
Sheldon,
nerds.
and then
Yeah,
they did
Sheldon.
a
Yeah,
spinoff
yeah.
show with called Young Sheldon, which I think is still on
Uh-huh,
or wrapped up. Anyway,
uh-huh.
I can never think of the name of that either, but it's I'm kind of I'm countercult, and I'm not being negative on it. I just it never really kind of landed with me personally. But like I kind of sort of the appeal of the caricaturized nerd autistic types, so to speak, with Sheldon and gosh, what was that too? I should probably look it up here. But
Yeah, we do have the internet. The Big Bang Theory.
yep,
Big Bang
that's
Theory.
it. Yep, Big
Yep,
Bang
yep.
Theory.
Okay. So yeah, the show about nerds that your parents love to watch.
Grandma loves to watch. Yep.
Yeah, grandma loves to watch it on CBS. All right, so that was number 9. I gotta remember the numbers. So number 8, and I kind of like this one: board game shenanigans, because those nerds love the board game shenanigans. Yeah, they love funny scenarios, clever strategies that could be both fun and cause a cause for laughter. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really big into board games, but yeah, those can be fun.
Yeah,
Uh, I, yeah.
I get it. Like I'm like I'm not gonna rip on them. You know, like but I really have to be in the mood, and it's got to be one that
Mhm.
is not dumb. Something that's fun. Something that's fun. Let's put it that way.
All right.
And then I was gonna put this on the screen here.
Uh-huh.
Um, oh, I want to get rid of that though. And then while Thomas is doing that, I will bring that in to the thing. And then that is that's the, oh, I screwed up here. Oh, there we go. Let me go down to, can I zoom in here a little bit on this one? Yep, board game shenanigans. So did you ever do board game shenanigans ever, Tom, or what's your favorite board game while we're on the topic in any case?
Oh, I was never big into board games. I like I guess the one I played most was Monopoly, but yeah, there's I guess there's some shenanigans with the money and making deals and whatnot. We kind of played it straight. We didn't. I know some people. I've watched some streamers do Monopoly, and they're wheeling and dealing and all that, and I never really got into that. But yeah, there's some cool ones now. Some kind of almost RPG ish board games that look fun. But I can never get like a group of nerds together to actually play. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, and I know there's all kinds of games out there that nerds love to play. There's Warhammer, there's Magic, there's Dungeons, D&D, which may or may not be coming up here. But yeah, in any case, yeah, that was very interesting. I think we can roll on.
Yeah, number 7. Yeah, we beat a dead nerd long enough here. Nerd jokes and puns. Yeah, because we love to make jokes about science, math, and Star Trek, and coding. Let's
So-
not forget those funny coding jokes.
oh yeah, it's sort of like the Big
Yeah,
Bang Theory, or well, I guess
right.
maybe they didn't have, but yeah, that's pretty much the thing. Yeah, puns for sure. Just as a dad in general, I think that goes hand in hand.
Right.
Moms too. Moms,
Yep.
parents have their own little lame puns
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I definitely try not to wear out my welcome with the kiddos and my dumb puns. Although there are some really funny ones that I remember. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Chat GPT didn't give us a bunch to work with. We're trying here. Okay. Number
yeah,
number 6. We have parody videos. I think that speaks for itself.
yeah,
And
indeed.
moving right along, we got number 5, cosplay humor. Don't we love those? Yeah, a few years back, you couldn't, throw a penny and not hit a Deadpool cosplayer, and they were always quite funny. Uh,
Yeah,
and
breaking the
yeah,
fourth wall.
right. Yeah, sometimes it shouldn't be broken. And then number 4, we have quirky collections. Those weird collections that nerds like to. And I think nerds and serial killers have quirky collections. I think they have something, but they collect something a little bit different, and they're
Most likely.
yeah, and their pastimes vary a little bit differently as well. Okay, and then number 3, um, got memes and gifs.
That's true.
Students love, yeah,
It's very true.
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I
There's
think that's a more general thing. But there are subgenre nerd, very specific ones that have made the leap to everybody uses them. So definitely for sure, that's true.
absolutely. And then number 2, we're getting close to number 1. The big payoff. All right, comic book mashups. Who doesn't have fun? What nerd doesn't have fun saying, who would win in a fight, Batman or the Hulk?
Yep.
Superman versus I don't know, the cosmic twins or whatever.
Right.
I think
Right.
I think I
You,
just made that one up. I was trying to think of
you know what?
the twins on the Superpower show,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I'll give it extra credit there because that is very true. That is a very favorite, fun pastime that we've all done at some point, or watched a video on YouTube. I
yep,
know a lot of the channels that I've recommended have covered that
yeah,
occasionally.
yeah. I know there's some channels that do that. Like I one
Key
that
issues,
are
I think, is one.
yeah, key issues, and then I think battle. Forget the name of it. Okay, never mind. All right, so number 1. The big payoff is pun-filled Dungeons and Dragons sessions. Who isn't, hilarious, hilarious Dungeons and Dragons playthroughs.
I w-
However, I was not a big D&D guy just because I didn't get invited to a lot of the sessions. I guess I was the loner nerd in high school, but I did get invited to some. I was never asked back. I think the one I did go to, I was Fernando, the happy elf, and I just kind of treated it very sarcastically and fun filled, much like the fun filled scenario here. I don't think they appreciated it. I did not get asked back, so either I was funnier in my head than in actuality, or maybe they just didn't have a sense of humor for their D&D. So I don't know. What's your experience with D&D, if at all?
Virtually zero, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
I kind of was more the Star Trek nerd, and I hardcored on that, and a little bit lighter on the Star Wars kind of type stuff. Didn't really get into the like AV side of the nerd house growing up. I was more like on the computer kind of nerd thing towards the end of high
Hmm.
school. Definitely into my late teens, early 20s for sure. I had already moved over and found a love in Linux. And then, of course, that exposed you to other kind of atypical or typical things that you
Yep.
would write in there. But unfortunately, I one of these days I do want to try my hand at it at some point if I have sufficient interest. And I'm not saying that it's as a good thing or bad thing. I just, I don't know that I would do a pun one. I think that would get a little bit quick
Yeah.
and tired for real quick,
Right.
but who knows, maybe if I would probably be more patient with it if I was doing something like that with my kiddos, just
Hmm.
being honest. But as far as that, I have a very good friend, my brother-in-law, and we're best friends and we talk every day. If he's like, hey man, let's go do this like sometime, because he's had more exposure to it. If I were to go something like that, I'd probably want to go with him, just where I feel a little bit more comfortable and know what the hell's going on.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know what the rules are, but I understand from the outside looking in, reading about that movie that came out not too long ago, last year, I think.
Hmm.
Um, maybe it was this year. I can't remember, but it was
Yeah,
the
it was
D and
this
D.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
Hmm.
was the D&D movie. Not
Yep.
not really getting into it, but like the only thing that I heard the good criticism against it was, which is all positive, mind you, which was the only thing that it didn't do was it didn't start from a tavern or something like that, and that was like the
Yeah.
only genuine criticism that I had, and that was like a good natured one. So no,
Yep.
I can't count myself as part of the
Yep.
D&D type crowd, but it's just
Yeah,
different
and it's
strokes for different folks,
yeah, and D&D's big on the YouTubes. We got I believe
Oh yeah.
and also Twitch. Critical Role is like a big channel for that. And then a few years back, I don't know if it's on anything. There was a streaming service that they got that ended that I think NBC had something to do with, so it might
Okay.
be on Peacock now. But
Interesting.
the Harmon guy from Rick and
Dan.
Morty, he had a D&D show where they I don't know if they strictly played D&D, but it was sort of a D&D scenario that they improved and then they animated. And it ran for a few episodes. It was pretty funny. I watched some episodes of that. And that was enjoyable, but for the most part, I'm not really into watching people play D&D. But yeah, like you, I'd be willing to dip my toe. However, the fact I really don't like what Wizards of the Coast does as a company,
Mm,
and they
I've heard
own
that.
D&D, so
Yep.
maybe I'd be a little hesitant on that. But yeah,
Yeah, I've heard
now
that
on. Yep.
they've got quite a few black eyes, rightfully
Hmm.
so. And I think that's just kind of across the board. And
Right.
one of the grab bags we covered, it was the Pinkerton visit to that poor guy,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, no,
Right.
I will say if I did get into anything really, I would be more likely to fall in the hole of Warhammer. I know a little bit more about that just to kind of prime the
Yep.
pump at some point to like, because I have had a passing interest in that over the years, but I just never had
Mhm.
time to kind of do that. But a lot of these things remind me of like things that I am into, like RimWorld. There's a big scene out there for that, for like computer game. Kind of like a little bit more of like where the computer generates your story and then you play a part in
Mhm.
it or whatever, if you so wish. But I definitely fall in line with that. I've got a number of YouTubers, and I think I've recommended some over the course of the last so often. But in any case, yeah, no, that was cool. That Chat GPT. So I think it gives
Yeah.
it. I don't know if you give it a rating or not, a recommendation,
I
but um,
I'd say it doesn't pass at this point. I think maybe it will be refined. Yeah. The writers that used to write the David Letterman top 10 list aren't sweating at this point. I think they still have a job if there's a top 10 list job out there. They will probably be picked over Chat GPT at this point. We'll keep kind of playing with this and see if we can't get Chat GPT a little bit more funnier. Hopefully, our skit at the end of the episode, our Star Trek skit, will be a little bit better. Again, we haven't read it, so
Right.
it could
Hope
fall
springs
flat.
eternal.
Exactly. So yeah. So Mike, we're just kind of talking. It's been a few weeks. We did do a podcast last week. We were thinking about doing this nerding out last week. Life got in the way for me. Go through a little bit of changes. That's why we're not scheduling a live thing for
Right.
it for the next few weeks. I'll probably be not knowing exactly where I'm at. So, but hopefully everything will get settled out in the next few weeks, and maybe
Yep.
we could start doing these live if we could get a day that's good for both of us that we could do each week. But yeah, things happen. We're working this in right now, um, and yeah, so we didn't really get into what we did over our break because we thought we were going to be talking about it last week during nerding out. So what's been going on with you, Mike? Anything new and exciting?
Not much, not much. Just like I have my usual dip in the toe in the water of the a ring of YouTubers that I tend to follow throughout time, and
Mm-hmm.
probably ones that are a little bit longer chain than usual, I would say. Although I don't check in like every single day. Some of these, like if I see them in my stream, the algorithm on YouTube serves me up or knows my interest, then I'll more than likely I do click on the top one or two or three, the top 10 things in my stream. But just the only thing at the top of mind that I had that I see that has kind of been disappointing. Like it just seems like this summer has been like the one of the like probably one of the more lackluster summers in recent memory as far as it goes for like really good solid movies and I at least in the first part of the year. I know we didn't really cover it too much, but I went and saw Cocaine Bear. It's just a kind of a fun popcorn type movie. It was exactly that. And then I
Yeah,
know that there was some.
I think he was spotted at the White House at one point,
Yeah,
wasn't
he
he?
was. Matter of fact, he was definitely. Yep.
Or maybe he left something there. Yeah,
Smokey the
call it
Bear isn't quite Smokey.
call it.
He's
Yeah,
got a little bit of a white
yeah,
Miami mustache there,
yeah,
so call it that.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly.
the only thing the top of my mind like during the break was I didn't get caught up on some reading that I thought I wanted to, but the summer's not over, so I'm hoping to get caught up because we did a little book exchange at some point. We'll probably bring that
Yeah,
into it
we'll
as the
circle
main
back
thing.
to that. Yeah.
But we got to have a little few things settling down. But well, now summer's like probably practically halfway over. And then there's the DC movies that came out. None of them lit any fire.
Yeah,
There's a
no,
couple.
no, caught fire yet.
Yeah, same thing for we're kind of where we're at with kind of like Disney Star Wars and Disney Marvel and DC. All of them are we're kind of at this point in the road like where we kind of all knew we were either quickly approaching, already were, or like we're already through. But I don't think we're already through it, which is the superhero fatigue that's out there. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this with this general malaise of whatever you want to call it. Um, and one thing, and I will definitely try my best to like maybe do shorter form versions of these movies that I really enjoy and I really love. But anytime I get a chance to talk about it, I will highlight. If you're tired or you're just kind of like, why can't DC fans have anything good and nice that doesn't suck or doesn't whatever that be to you. And maybe you like the recent things of certainly I'm sure DC things films of recent things that I've liked that maybe others didn't like. But
Mhm.
mind you, I saw them with my kids, and so you're gonna
Right.
have a take a little bit different appreciation from that angle. But aside from that, the one thing that I wanted to kind of say, and I might bring it up here in a minute, was that is if you're just hankering for a good solid comic book storyline and you're okay with it you just being good. I can't say this enough. Just about anything DC that they put out that's animated, especially in long form movie length, is of substantial quality, I would dare say, compared to what has been the recent temperature of what we've been getting, as it
Yeah,
goes to comic books and
yeah,
superheroes. Like I've never watched any of those movies and been disappointed. I've
yeah,
never had a problem with that. And I
yeah.
know there's.
I
Oh, go
haven't
ahead.
dipped my toe that much into it, but yeah, I've liked the ones that I've watched. But yeah,
It's kind of in the HBO Max app, the HBO, the old HBO Max app, but it's
now
called
it's
Max.
Max.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever, Max now. It's still kind of you can find them if you have a subscription to that, whether it's ad based or ad free. If you kind of have to
uh-huh.
go back in the back catalog and look, it's kind of like they put them in the very back shelf. You kind of got to look for them a little bit. But you
That's
can,
sort of like the comic book shop. You know, usually the good stuff's right in the back
right.
that you have to dig for. You know, dig
Yeah,
around and find those old issues of something cool that no one knows about.
yeah, and one of the things I do think I do kind of get tired of the chattering class on the
Mhm.
constant pounding and the negative stuff.
Oh
Not
yeah,
saying it's not warranted or whatever, but one of the things that I like to try to find is like more positive, something you can watch. Of course, you can watch anything you want, but the other thing that I kind of I don't understand is that really, there is no substantial negativity around the DC animated universe, really.
right.
Everything
Yeah.
is pretty much. I wouldn't say. I'm not going to say it's well critically acclaimed. I'm not going to say that, but for the most part, if you're just a casual or you're just a comic book fan and you like DC stuff, it's solid, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you don't really hear any too much poo-pooing about it. And if you do hear somebody poo-pooing about it, usually they're probably already driving with a negative opinion anyway, or they want to, maybe. I don't know. Like fair shot, I guess, where it is. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying. But
Mhm.
there were some DC announcements on that front with the animated thing, which was basically now, and I think this kind of speaks to where we're at, which is DC is not dumb. American comic book and entertainment companies aren't dumb. They understand that in Japan, there's been this thing called anime and manga that has kind of made its way, and it's been in America for a long time now. But I wouldn't call it old hat at all. I mean, it is old hat for some folks, but now you see this kind of blending of DC, some DC properties and anime films, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So there are, and there's always going to be, like
Mhm.
there's like some kind of internet law or something like where if something can be made into anime, it is, or something along those lines. But
Yeah.
um, you know,
Yeah.
I,
There's always been kind of a flirtation between DC and Marvel and
right,
Japan and anime and manga. I think they're in the 80s or 90s. There was a Batman and Spider-Man manga series,
right,
and it famously in the 70s or maybe it was the 80s there was a live action Japanese Spider-Man show, Spiderman or something. I forget what it
okay,
was.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, there's the trailer for it's on YouTube somewhere. I think he has. There's like a big mech or something in it as well. And I think he's in the newest Spider Verse movie. Maybe as a little cameo in the background, possibly. I could be wrong there. But yeah, if you want to see if you can find that Japanese Spider Man, I'll tell you about my time off. Yeah, we took a little bit of a break, and during my time, it wasn't always fun. I took a week off, and my my power went out for a few days. There was a
Oh,
big
that's
storm.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was I was reading by not candlelight, but we had some lanterns and battery powered, and then the game changer happened when we found some battery powered fans. That was during the July summer in Arkansas. A fan is required there. But yeah, I started a new series, or it was not a new series. It started in '99. Uh, the the Maslon Book of the Fallen series. It's by Stephen Erickson.
Okay.
The first book's Gardens of the Moon. Um, it's very interesting. It's a 10 book series. So yeah, I'm not. Uh, it's and I think most of the books run about 10,000 or no 1,000 pages a book. So yeah, it's I'm not sure if I want to dive deep into it, but so far it's been a really good first book. You're tempted to kind of describe it like Game of Thrones, except that it's not quite. It is violent, and it's a violent fantasy series. But there's a element where there's the gods. The gods are definitely a character, and they have influence and do things to manipulate humans.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's that element, and it's not your traditional fantasy. It's the writer is a anthropologist, so he's really good at world building and creating this realistic landscape. But he also writes really good characters. The characters are really interesting and distinct individually. I'm enjoying. I'm about halfway through it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. But yeah, it's if you're looking for a fantasy a little bit different, not your average, happy-go-lucky fantasy. It's on the darker side. And if you like Game of Thrones, that you may like this because there's a lot of political intrigue in it as well.
Very cool. Very cool.
But yeah, I read that, and
Oh,
I'm reading through the Chris Claremont's old run, 80s run of X-Men as well.
oh, yeah, very cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna put this up here, and I'll put your a link to that series that you were talking about just there. But
Hmm.
I wanted to say I did check out the other thing with the DC animated, well,
Oh,
which is was I did catch a couple episodes of this.
hmm.
It is the demographic. It's for kids. It's for kids. It's not so just go into that, go in that. But it was cute enough. Kind of like an interesting take on Superman. And then I was trying to find the um, gosh, what was it? The good grief, they're not. This account is not active as much. That's kind of sad. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah. Of course,
I
they might have moved over to another uh, messaging service. Yeah, I know a lot of people are fleeing Twitter.
yeah, I know
With
there. Yeah, and actually, that's one thing that I've been building up more is kind of playing more around with Twitter. Just being honest, and it's
yeah.
I think it's about as good as you can cultivate who you're following. I'd say that's about
Hmm.
what you can expect to get out of it, so to speak. But I was trying to think, what was the Joker's Harley Quinn? But the one that I was thinking of was Harley Quinn that they had put out talking about
Okay.
like there's going to be a new DC animated kind of anime type version of some of that kind of her. And I
Okay.
just thought that was interesting, and I can't quite find that tweet, but that's okay. Um, we'll just go with that. But yeah, that's cool. So you enjoyed those on the break?
Yeah. 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 And talking about Twitter and social media, one of the things, um, we're kind of down on and no one likes advertising and stuff and ads. But I have to say, YouTube made me laugh the other day. I was watching YouTube on my TV,
Hmm.
like you do, and I can't turn off ads on my. Oh, I think you can, but I never mess with figuring out how to turn off ads on YouTube when you're streaming it on your Roku TV. But I was watching. I started one of my YouTube videos, and the ad on there, they rickrolled me. It was the Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. That video started playing. So someone paid for an ad to rickroll me.
That is
I,
hilarious.
I've never seen. I've seen them do ads as
Yeah.
music videos as ads. And I've found some really cool bands that way. And that's never going to take the place of going to a brick and mortar store and having that informed clerk give you suggestions, that hands on. Those are things that you always remember. But I think as far as AI and gathering data, they're getting better and better about finding out what you're watching and what you might like, and
Right.
kind of catering to that. Facebook, in fact, I've found some, they go, you might like this, and they've recommended some bands that I've clicked on that I really actually enjoyed, and so I think they're getting better. And also, I've kind of dug we were in the Dune group on Facebook, and I've kind of dug a little bit deeper into the groups on Facebook. I found one that hits my sweet spot. It's a retro horror, paperback horror covers,
Okay.
and it's just people taking pictures of their collections of their paperback horror novels from the 80s and 90s, 70s, 60s. And some of them I remember owning, and it is just kind of like a nostalgia boost every day. Just looking, oh yeah, I had that, and it makes me. I kind of unloaded my collection of paperbacks about a little over 10 years ago, and it makes me kind of um, pine for having those back, but and I've been very much triggered into wanting to go to a used bookstore, but yeah, that's been really enjoyable.
That's cool. Yeah, yeah. I say while I was out as well, you were talking about that series of books and whatnot that you fell into.
Mhm.
I definitely will be falling more into the Gundam world, and there's a couple books that I need to get.
Okay.
Ones that are they're kind of old or they're out of print. But my brother-in-law has a copy, and I was over there, and he let me page through it just to kind of get a good quality, and like it is totally up my alley as far as kind of military, hard science fiction. Throw
Uh-huh.
space in there, and it's kind of like it's a combination of The Expanse mixed with mech
Hmm.
suits, or with like Starship Trooper type thing, like power armor is what I was saying. Is very cool, and then of course there's some kind of political, this faction versus that
Element to it, yeah.
faction, or and even
Right.
down to spy versus spy kind of thing too,
Yeah.
when you really get into it. But like, there's a lot there, and I can't wait to dive into that universe because it just
Hmm.
is really cool. So who knows, like if this striker thing, of course, it's not really going to impact me, to be honest with you, because aside from the occasional movie that we talk about or see, that we actually go to the theater. The only one that the only movies that are coming out that I really care to watch or will watch would be, you know, uh, Captain Marvel with my daughter, and then Dune Part Two, which I know you're going to see that. We're both
Yeah.
excited, but also
Yep.
kind of not really sci-fi ones, but Chris Nolan, who we've covered extensively in the past,
Yeah.
and we're
And we
both
had a
big
whole
fans
show
of.
on him. Yeah.
Yep, yep, Oppenheimer.
Overview. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's coming out. So there's a lot of cool things to look out for. And I
Yep.
think right now on Disney, again, I'm so far away from that world. I just don't. Um,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just not kind of showing up for anything. And I'm
Yeah.
not really beating on. I'm not really saying or beating up on anything in particular, to be honest. I just kind
Yeah.
of like I've always said, like I kind of will take a back seat to these things.
Hmm.
To like where once the normies like glom onto it and start chirping about it, like beyond the chattering class that you or I
Hmm.
kind of sort of semi follow on the periphery or the edge or even the
Hmm.
fat part of the coverage, depending
Right.
upon our favorite YouTubers who are out there.
Yeah.
I will say I have dropped a couple YouTube of people on YouTube and on like once I
Yeah.
started to see how they interacted with people on Twitter, it kind of
Yeah.
changed my opinion about
It kind of
it.
taints it, doesn't
It did.
it?
It did. It did. And I'm not gonna say. And actually, you know what? I found the thing that I was looking for, but I wanna do this
Okay.
before I lose track of
Yeah.
my thought here. Just to kind of give it justice of what the hell I was talking about before with TC. And I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but this is basically
Okay.
Suicide
Yeah.
Squad.
Yeah.
Isekai. I'm butchering that. God,
Yeah.
forgive me,
Yeah.
please.
It's
But
yeah.
it's a collaboration with Warner Brothers and
Hmm.
Japanese with
Good
studio.
old Warner Brothers. We got good history with them, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They
which
love us.
yeah, yeah, we don't shy away from them. podcast that we did on our main show, LadyHawke. That's a Warner Brothers movie. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
personally think that they did a great job for this, and I am looking forward to this. I am not a purist, but it has enough of good quality style that I see that I'm down, and I'm gonna check this out
yeah,
when it comes
that's
out.
right. Then that's another thing. Like, yeah, I understand those fans that are purists that uh, have followed a certain character for years and want that character to remain the way that they've always been intended to be. But I'm not. I'm like you. I'm not that um, purist with DC. I'm not a super DC guy. So yeah,
Sure.
the different changes, as long as they make sense and are good for the story. I don't like arbitrary changes just because just because they want to make a point or a social point. That never works for me. It's only if it's a good story, it makes sense. And yeah, it's all story is king on these kind of things.
Yep.
Uh, Now I will I do have a huge recommend. The While we're on our break, I discovered a show. Some of you out there in the nerd universe may already be familiar, already love this show. Um, I have not binge watched a show in years, and
Okay.
this show I'm binge watching. There's 5 seasons and a movie, and I'm already up to. I just started the 5th season, so I got 10 more episodes and the movie. The show's called, and you might have even seen it. I don't know. The Last Kingdom,
Okay.
and it's based on a series of books, and
Is that on
it's
Netflix?
it's on Netflix.
Okay, that's
Yes,
what I thought. Okay. Okay.
and it started off as a BBC show, a UK show for the
Really?
first 2 seasons, and then Netflix bought it and have done the rest of the seasons and the movie, and it's super good. It's takes place during the Middle Ages, which kind of ties in with LadyHawke. But it's about the Danes and the Saxons. The main character is Uhtred, and he was born a Saxon, and but he ends up with the Vikings, the Danes, and they raise him from a child to adulthood, but his Viking family is killed. He gets blamed for it, and he has to go back to the Saxons, the only people that will take him at that point,
Okay.
and helps him to go against the Danes. So he's sort of like a fish out of water kind
Mm-hmm.
of character. He's not really loved by the Danes or the Saxons. No one wants him, and he's trying to find his way. And this character, he's kind of like a superhero character in that
Okay.
it's the story that I've been wanting and craving and didn't know it. It's just the pure kind of male uh, fantasy kind of action hero story. And it's got a really good pace to it. First 2 seasons are only 8 episodes, and each season covers 2 of the books.
Really?
That
Okay.
so the thing that you would think would, they introduce an element, in you in a normal series, that element would be told through 10 episodes, right? It would be
Mm-hmm.
a long bloated story in this current age of streaming, whereas um, it's told within 2, 3, 4 episodes, and it's really fast paced, and it's kind of it's I'm not comparing it to Breaking Bad as far as story wise,
Mm-hmm.
but in the pacing. When I was watching Breaking Bad, another show that I binge watched, it's that show has the um, that I always had a moment of holy crap, they just
Mm-hmm.
did that, and then followed by how the heck are they going to get out of that,
Sure.
followed by
Okay.
oh my god, they pulled it off.
Really? Okay.
and and that's especially the first 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons of the show is
Well, damn.
excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
excellent,
Mm.
and it gets you hooked. That's what a streaming show should do. You finish an episode. Oh my gosh, I gotta know what's going to happen next, and that's what the show is. And now, starting with the Netflix shows, it kind of pulls back on it. It's not, but you're so invested. That's another thing. It's sort of like almost a throwback to those old sci-fi shows,
Okay.
where it was you get introduced to a group of characters that you really love, really follow, and you really want to know what happens to these
You
characters
care.
because you love them, and that's that what pulls you through. The third season's really good, as well. Not as good as the first two. I just finished the fourth season. It was probably the weakest season. So hopefully it'll pull out with the fifth season in the movie. If you guys have seen it in our audience, let us know what you think about it. No spoilers yet because I haven't finished it.
Mhm.
It sounds like Mike hasn't started it yet, but
No,
it's
I.
really good. And also, I have to praise the actor, the main actor, Uhtred. He really reminds me a lot of Johnny Depp in that he's um, very charismatic. You really for a for a show to focus on one character doing these extraordinary things that are kind of at one point he's getting the Saxons all excited and going to war, and then he has to go over to the Danes, and he's so charismatic that you believe what he's doing, and he really pulls off what the show's asking of him,
Okay.
and I'm really enjoying it. It's my favorite show currently. I can't say
That's high
enough good
praise.
things. Yeah, there's not. It's sort of like a hidden gem. I haven't heard very many people talking about this show. There's a lot of really good. Uhtred's the main character, but all of the characters are really good. There's a lot of political intrigue. There's a lot of violence. There's some nudity, so you might not want to maybe pull in the kids on it, but
Sure.
not
Sure.
not
Age
not.
appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. It's not it doesn't go over the top or not anything. And the violence, there is violence, but there is some gore in it every once in a while, just to kind of maybe punch a point home.
Sure.
Hey, this is the Middle Ages was kind of ugly. But yeah, so yeah, really enjoyable show. Kind of a hidden gem on um, Netflix. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this show, but definitely recommend it. And I'm kind of curious about reading the books as well. Although that's another 13 book series. I don't. The weird thing is, I'm kind of curious how they end it because it's 13 books, but and each season covers two books. So the fifth season covers book 9 and 10, and then the movie that wraps everything up covers book 13. So they kind of
Okay.
skip over book 11 and 12. So I'm kind of curious how they do that. Maybe on another nerding out, I could circle back and let y'all guys know my final thoughts about the series, and maybe not do a podcast on it. If Mike, if you want to dive into the show, maybe we could talk about it now and then on nerding out, and
Sure.
yeah, in our community out there, if you've seen the show and want to kind of say your opinion about the show, more
Yeah.
than welcome.
Yeah. I think I have been kind of toying with the idea of doing trying to do like maybe a little bit of a sci-fi challenge for myself personally. And if I've come across anything substantial, I might whip out a quick short video series out on it. But I would love to get into this because, especially, it's kind of like how it happens with our main show and what we've covered in the past. But we've
Yeah.
kind of been, we've kind of sort of been kind of not too far away from the fantasy genre.
Hmm.
And just being honest, I kind of have got developed a taste for wanting to see something more along the like a sword, sword play kind of sequence, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
um, I
this
have
this
no doubt
definitely has a lot of
that,
it.
yeah, this is going to be right up my alley that I'm really looking forward to getting into. And Though,
Hmm.
God, that'd be great if I could binge watch something. Like, it's been a minute.
Yeah,
It's been
I
it's
know.
just
Yeah,
it's hard to find, like, really good things, but that's kinda one
hmm
of the beauties that we love about our show, and although I will always, uphold Tom's, 'cause I like listening to you and I like hearing about your reviews for things,
hmm
just that's just a privilege I get to have with the show here, but, one of the things I like to hear from you is these things, and if anything, you are definitely more of the better reviewer, in my opinion, for these things, but,
oh,
never mind that. Like what I always like to say about our show is, yeah, certainly we do reviews from time to time, but we're not really the critic kind of corner. Where it's not the critics
hmm
corner here, in and out, and like we're just punching up and doing the technical details of the cinematography and the storyline, and we're just casual, thing. I think you would do a better job of that as far as like kind of the behind the scenes type thing and the ins and outs of the detail. I'd love to hear about that from you. But in any case, what my point was the recommendations. I like to bill our
hmm
show, our channel is about nerd
yeah,
recommendations, and maybe something you came across but you didn't know about. Love to share those out, whether it's on YouTube
great.
or Nerd
Yeah,
or whatever. We
yeah,
definitely have those for
yeah,
sure.
and this show's been around forever. 5 seasons. I think it is, and
Flew under the
just
radar.
right, and I didn't know about it until Netflix, kind of said, "Oh, you might like this." Since I was
Right.
watching another Viking show, I was finishing up, Vikings. I always get the name wrong. I think it's Vikings, Valhalla or something like that.
That
It's
sounds right.
the sequel to the Viking show on History Channel.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
was finishing up that. And I was like, oh man, I really want to watch another Viking show, and they say, hey, you might like Lost Kingdom. And then the weird thing is, I watched the first episode of this, and I thought it was okay. But then there were some other shows I was watching, so I stopped watching this. And then
Okay.
I'd finish up some of my streaming shows. I didn't have anything to watch. I was like, oh, let me circle back to this show. And
Right.
then the second episode hooked me, and I was in for the ride for the whole thing. So I know how some people say, "Oh, you got to watch the first 2 seasons before it gets good," but you got to get through those, and then you're hooked. I was like, I don't, no, I don't think so. This show, all you have to do is get through the first episode,
Okay.
and you should be hooked. The first show is sort of like the prologue, kind of setting everything up, so it doesn't have the same adrenaline rush as the rest of the series. But yeah, like I said, it's covering 4 episodes a book. Basically you split a season, and the first 2 seasons are just eight episodes. The rest of the series is 10 episodes, so
Okay.
they have a little bit more room to breathe. But there's that Netflix curse. When they go to Netflix, that maybe certain things are added to it to make it more, I guess, diverse and whatnot. Maybe beef up the female characters. I gotta say that the third season, that's Netflix, no change. It still has this, the same quality as the first 2 seasons,
Right. Okay.
and no spoilers, but they do something in that season. I wouldn't even hint at what it is. I was like, oh my god, okay, this is a rarity on Netflix. I love this show. They went there,
Right.
and there's in this day and age, there's a lot of shows that aren't just they want it to diversify it to where women will enjoy it as well, and it kind of it kind of sometimes you just want a guy show, a
Mm-hmm.
real good guy show, and
Sure.
this is it. This is that guy show I've been wanting with that male hero. That he goes through adversity. I mean, he becomes a slave at one point, so it's not it's not like a guy that it's not a Mary Sue version of a guy
Right.
that everything goes right for him. Things go wrong. That's part of the holy crap, they just did that kind of segment of it. And the guy, he lasts through the entire season in the movie. So he's going to get out of it, sort of like in Breaking Bad. But you're like, how is he going to get out of this crap? And that's the fun of the show. And again, I can't recommend it enough. If you kind of are craving an old style kind of action show set in the Middle Ages with a guy character that you can get behind, this is the show. And
Awesome.
again, the actor's very charismatic, and he kind of looks a little bit like Johnny Depp. He kind of reminds me of Johnny Depp
Okay.
in a lot of ways. So so the ladies in the audience might have some eye candy there for it. And then he does go through a few different romances in the story, so there may be a little bit there for them as well. But yeah, kind of looking at him, he's a really good actor. I haven't seen him in anything else, or if I've seen him, I don't remember.
Yeah, that I will say that I do think that Netflix has their finger on the pulse of this whole thing. You kind of touched on it on base there. I think that they know the streaming game inside and out, and although they make
Mhm.
missteps, they as a software company, they're also pretty good engineers. So that means, generally speaking, and I only say that because if you're a tech nerd or you're in IT or infrastructure or security or anything like that, at some point, you have come across a technical, highly technical article that was on Hacker News that was put out by, from the internal working teams of Netflix, like, because they definitely know their stuff inside out. But anyway, that all goes to say that although they have played that, that I'm not gonna say the four-letter word, but
Mhm.
that kind of that mindset of that gets corrected fairly often and
Mhm.
frequently, and they don't have the chaff hanging around. If the show doesn't work, even by the half season, if they cut it in half, it
Oh
gets
yeah.
canceled, and they move on. They have a pretty good track record for that.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, though, some things like hang on a little bit longer than they probably should.
Mhm.
Example
And some
being like
get axed before they really got going.
that's true. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and some, but it's more likely that they're going to kill something that was not that great in the first place. And I'm just surprised that they haven't done that with what the elephant in the room that I'm talking about is
Mhm.
Witcher season 3, which we have covered in the show before. We both liked season 1, thought it was okay, but season 2 you were not on board, and I let it ride. I
Mhm.
was not impressed by the end of it. Although I still it was there's enough gas, just a little bit of fumes in the tank
Mhm.
for me to maybe show up for 3. And I got the whiff of the thing, and it just debuted not too long ago, and I'm not coming
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah.
just not interested.
In fact, I see. Netflix keeps going. Hey, you want to watch The Witcher? Hey, that's the Witcher's new season here.
Boy, you wish you
But
could, boy, you wish you
yeah,
could.
yeah. But I immediately pull up Lost Kingdom. Is like, I think I'll watch another episode of this. This is kind of give me the fix that I wanted from The Witcher.
Right.
Again, this is a
I
great,
could
and it's set. It's a historical drama in that it's set during the Middle Ages. There's no supernatural monsters or anything. It's
Right.
pretty it's pretty historically accurate. There's some they get mixed up with the Vikings have their gods like Odin and whatnot, and they have their religion and their
Mhm.
mysticism that they kind of play with a little bit, and and they but yeah, and all the characters there's they don't take sides. They show you the Danes and they show you the Christian Saxons,
Right.
warts and all on both sides. But that another good thing about a good action show is that the good guys are good and the bad guys, oh my god, they're bad. And the bad guys are those bad guys that you love to hate.
Mm.
It's almost it kind of verges on kind of a comic book sensibility in that they're the characters aren't multifaceted outside the main character,
Mhm.
but there's something to be said about an action show where you just relish that the bad guy's bad and you want to see how the good guys are going to overcome it.
Mm.
And when the odds are stacked against the good guys, yeah, it's just fun to see how things play out.
Sure.
And the writing's excellent, the scenario, the acting all around, excellent acting. Again, I guess I'm kind of beat a dead horse here.
No, no, no,
Dead
no, not
medieval
not at all.
horse.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that I have been really kind of sort of searching for that. And I was about ready
Mhm.
to, and I will be going into, in upcoming months or in weeks and months, I personally will be dipping more of a toe. I've already kind of tipped my hat a little bit
Yep.
with the Gundam thing, but that's not the only one. I want to get into
Yep.
Berserk. I even want to get into some French comics, which I've heard nothing but good things about. That I've
Oui,
always
oui.
kind of circled. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to explore that realm a little bit
Hmm.
more in the off time. So
Yep.
if there's something bubbles up and I care to share, I will. But I definitely want to say I've always searched around for sci-fi. That's my first love of any of
Uh,
this stuff. And I
yep.
just wanted to share the other thing too that I found, which was this particular gentleman. I did not know this guy. But again, it kind of comes from the angle of basically this guy is like a physicist or whatever, so he knows his stuff
Uh-huh.
inside out. But what I love it, what he does is he'll take various aspects, and he's been doing this for like 10 years. He'll take various aspects of like from famous tropes to storylines to down to the nitty gritty, to the technical details of everything else, and he really breaks it open in a long form. He even had kind of like a loosely story based kind of world building. Not so much from he doesn't really have characters. He's much more like the his namesake. We'll call it that, like an Asimov
Yeah.
or an Isaac or Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah.
That type
Yeah. I was
like where.
wondering if his name was a play on those.
Yeah, actually, I think that's
Yeah.
his real name. I believe that's his real
Oh
name.
wow. Okay.
So that I think it's Isaac A. Arthur or something like that. But he's also
Okay.
on Twitter. But and you can do that in the about page here. I think. Yep,
Hmm.
yep, yep, yep. All the links where you can find him at. But anyway, the point is he's also the president of this science and future kind of thing. Well, I guess he tells you right there. Creator and producer of yeah, president of the National Space Society. So anyway, this guy is just kind of, like I'd say it'd probably wear a little thing. But if you're looking for long form nerd, you want to nerd out. The
Yep.
sci-fi is the end, the end all, for this. But for sure, that go check out this thing. But anyway, it's inspired me to like maybe. I've always kind of wanted to start writing, and I know you're a writer in the past and things, but
Mhm.
for horror. And we kind of talked about that, but I kind of like getting kind of lighting the fire a little bit to like
Yeah.
maybe do something silly, or do something
Yeah.
with this in the show, and we'll see what happens or not. Probably not, but
Hmm.
that's okay. This whole thing was inspired by like Dune, and you always
Yeah.
kind of like wanted to do like a show like this, and me too as well, kind
Yeah.
of podcast type stream thing, but. I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and I think we're rolling up on about an hour or so. Was there anything
Yeah.
else you wanted to cover, or had top of the hat?
No, I think we teased around long enough. We
Yep,
got our parody to do,
we do. We
for
do.
better or for worse. It looks like our characters are Captain Quirk and Doctor Bunsen. Captain Quirk is a parody of Captain Kirk, and Doctor Bunsen is Doctor McCoy. Do you have a preference? I kind of want to do Kirk, unless you want to.
No, you can. I can do a McCoy. I like McCoy.
Okay,
I can do a
all right.
Bunsen.
I
Like,
could do I could do a very bad William Shatner impression. So
yeah. Let me
I may abandon it. It's very short. Don't want to spoil it by pulling it up there,
showing up.
but
Yeah, I'm just trying to
yeah.
bring it up here so I can
Okay.
see it better.
Oh yeah, that you could read it. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
you need your script. All right, so Captain Quirk and Doctor Bunsen. Are you ready?
I
Are you
am.
is the audience ready? I think they are. All right. Now I'll start with the William Shatner impression, and I may abandon it. It's not very long, so it's it's only a few lines. Okay. Uh, Doctor Bunsen, report. What seems to be the trouble with the ship?
Oh, well, Quirk. It's the darndest thing. It's the damnedest thing. The tricorder is giving me mixed signals. It's almost as if
As if what, Doctor?
it, it's detecting a massive life form outside the ship. The Oh my God, the size of a planet.
A life form the size of weight. Bunsen, have you checked the window?
Oh, well, that's embarrassing. I guess the tricorder is isn't malfunctioning after all.
Bunsen, you may be a doctor, but you need a crash course in astronomy. Okay.
And scene.
Let's see.
That was kind of
All
fun.
right.
That was kind
Yeah,
of fun.
it's yeah. Hey, our acting wasn't as bad as I thought it
No,
would be.
I didn't think I think that was
And
kind of fun. That would be cool. It'll be fun to watch back for sure.
yeah. All right. So yeah, if you liked liked our top 10 list or didn't like it, let us know. We'll try to do a few more of these. We'll do and see the AI is growing along with our show.
Yep.
So as the AI improves, we'll improve.
Yep.
And maybe in a few weeks we'll be stellar. We're gonna keep AI Millie. She's gonna be our new announcer. And she may have to say different things at the top of the show, and yeah, we'll do parodies of various different things. If you have an idea for a parody that you think Chat GPT might have fun with, put it in our comments down below.
Yep.
If you've made it this far, you may like us, so like and subscribe, and become a subscriber, so that
Absolutely.
YouTube can let you know when our show pops up there. And I think this has been fun. I had no expectations for our inaugural nerding out show, but I think it went not too bad.
Yeah,
Let us know.
I would like to have the challenge out for the audience out there. Like it just if you follow Tom's sage advice there, and tell us what you think, good or bad. That's all good. But I think I would say that I would like to try to make a drive for 100 subscribers by the end of the year.
Yeah,
And if we do, I'll tell you what. If we hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, maybe we can set up a community page, and we can do special requests. Maybe we can do some archives. Maybe we can do some unscripted chats or some pre-show
yeah,
or after-show party type thing. We'll see, but we
yep,
won't know until we get there.
yep,
Boy, we sure would like that. And as always, with all the sci-fi and the comic book things, and if you're just a nerd, we welcome you here, and we hope that you come back week after week. No matter how you visit us, no matter how you interact with us, we encourage it. This has been very fun, and I look forward to next week.
yep, yeah. Stay nerdy out there, nerditos.
Absolutely. Nerds out.
Nerds out, nerding out.